participants was unfortunately all male participants, no female. Rugby football players, about 358. And they were all on the college team, so it's about 20 years old. And they all have good experiences of rugby. So 8 years of experience means they rugby starting by 12 or 13 years old. About 45%, about half of them have experience playing at an international level or national level, so they are pretty high-level players. I went to just visit to the team, well, with the coach's permission, and I explain what is going on, and they fill out the questionnaire, and I collect them and to get back with me. So it was not a mail, it was on face-to-face basis. They were at the classroom sitting like this to fill out the questionnaire. Measurement, as I explained, I used the SBS Japanese version of it, 31 items for some scales, as I explained. I also put Japanese version of FMBS and HMBS to see if there's a differences between perfectionism in general and perfectionism in sports. And I also want to see that what kind of mental skills they have been using with ACSI 28. Here's a result. It's content quality. I wanted to see if this questionnaire will work in Japanese. And I ran the analysis, item analysis, factor analysis, and came out with 22 items. So I eliminated 9 in the process. And discrepancy and expectation from others came out pretty low. So I need to work on it, especially I probably need to add or rewrite items to make it a little bit better. But if you look at the mean, it's a 5 Likert scale measurement. It came out pretty high. And this one is moderate, it's okay. And the other one I would like to mention is like here, the black numbers right here showing that there's no multicollinearity. So it's okay. It's a little bit too much information here. This is SPS, perfectionism in sports. This is F, MPS, and HMPS. I don't want to see much correlation here because I've been saying perfectionism in life and sports can be different. However, if you see these two, it came out pretty high. The reason why is that I took the original items from here and make it to sports related. So it does make sense to come out pretty high. But otherwise, I think it's acceptable. English version of SPS already showing that it can measure both positive and negative. And also I tried to do the same thing with the factor analysis, second factor analysis. And it also came out HS, high personal standard and expectation from others came out 1 factor. The other one is fail of making mistakes and discrepancy. So same as the English version, it came out with positive and negative. So what we can do from here, I have many things I could do, but the very simple things I want to show is that what is the relationship between positive perfectionism and mental skills. If you are positive, if you have positive perfectionistic tendency, as the sub-scale shows that you probably have good personal goals, not too high, not too low, challenging, and perceive expectation from others in a good way. And those guys highly skilled, of course, in goal setting, that makes sense. They can set the goal pretty well, and they can follow. And they do have a good mental preparation. They can prepare well. They also have a confidence and adaptive achievement goal motivation. However, if this is negative, what's going on will be here. If you are negatively perfectionistic, as some scales can explain that you always worry about making mistakes and you always perceive your inability to meet your own goals. So what kind of mental skills they have? They don't have much, they have low skill in freedom from worry, which makes sense because they always worry about making mistake. So they always thinking about worry. They cannot free from their own thinking. Coachability is about how coaches feels easier for them to coach these kind of athletes if they can take comment and feedback from coaches really well. But they do have low skills in coachability. Means for negative perfectionists, it's very hard for them to take comments from coaches, feedback from teammates. Concentration, they do have low skills in concentration. That makes sense because their mind is always about something negative, making mistakes, so they can really focus on what they're doing. There's no research out there, but only based on my experiences, when I consult with relatively negative perfectionists, they always talk about injury at the same time. They have many experiences of injury. I think because of this, lower skill of this, they tend to have more injury. And I want to try to find out what is going on there. And I also want to help them to come back from injury. Is there positive perfectionists among rugby football players? I think they are. My friend make fun of me when I say that I'm trying to find out perfectionists in rugby football players. And my friend said there must be no one perfectionist in rugby players. But there are about 10% of those college team players were extremely positively perfectionistic. And about 10% of them were like extremely negatively perfectionistic. So there are some positive and negative perfectionists out there among rugby football players. And this is a great example. Johnny Wilkinson may have, well known as a perfectionist, as a rugby player, may have negative tendency in the past, thinking about the result, thinking about the ball. But now he knows how to shift something negative to positive. And now this is his comment saying that making something positive. So there must be that, even though I'm saying this is a tendency, because of it is a tendency, it must be the way for consultants to help them to make something negative to positive. And based on previous literature and my own experiences and textbooks, there are some techniques we can help them, especially for negative perfectionists players. This is not only for rugby football players, but athletes in general. If they are setting too high standards and goals for themselves, coach can help, or player themselves can help to set challenging goals. This is a same as a goal setting strategies. Challenging goal, but doable. If your goal is too high, if they cannot make the goal, they perceive inability, be not able to make the goal. So it does hurt them a lot. And also they need to learn how to shift their focus from something negative to positive. This is not very new, but they also need to learn something from mistakes. It's related to the next point, but perfectionists tend to think the all or nothing kind of thoughts. So if they make a mistake, they are gone. There are so many situations for rugby football players, especially for preseason, in Japan especially. If you miss kick, or if you even miss the one pass, the coach will say, you're not going to be playing next game, next match. It happens a lot in Japan. And those players come in and say, I can't make mistakes because I won't be a starter for the next match. So coaches start thinking how to give them feedback because they are being too good by themselves. At the same time, those feedbacks are coming from coaches and teammates. They can sometimes take it professionally, but very personally. This is related to expectation from others. They take a comment from coaches and teammates as criticism, not the advice. So they probably need to learn how to take a comment in a good way, feedback in a good way. This is self-talk strategies. It's really common in sports psychology, and everybody must have this already, but it is very important for them to be aware of what they're thinking, what they are trying to do from now. Because as I already mentioned, negative perfectionists had the tendency to have all nothing, all or nothing. If you win, you're good. If you lose, you're just a loser. If you couldn't make the skip, you're just a loser as a reputable player. It is not correct. So telling them to have a huge gray zone will help negative perfectionists to make it a little bit more positive. Oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do this. I was able to make this. So this is good. This is also well-known strategy in sports psychology, and many of them had it already. But learn how to stop your negative thought and make it something positive, so they can move on. This is all I have today. It's a little short, but if you have any questions, please let me know.
Questions? Question, Kaori. How successful have you been with consulting athletes, helping them change from negative to positive perfectionism? In my experience, it's not so easy.
It's not easy. It takes time, and it's very. I can't tell them, "Oh, you're perfectionist. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong." So I probably do the first things I do is asking them, what is your goal? And their goal is relatively too high. I want to be on the Japanese national team. At the same time, I cannot say, oh, you cannot be on the national team. So I try to break down their goals. And it's very hard because they always go the sideways, negative ways, always. So I try to help them to look back a lot. Usually people say it's not very good to look back what you have done, but try to ask them, what you have done until now? How many years you've been playing in rugby? Usually they are playing since they were 3 years old, and they are doing really well. So they try to, I help them to rethink the accomplishment. Then sometimes can be successful to regain their confidence and really start thinking, okay, this is what I can do.
Yeah, I think my experience too is looking back is fine. I mean, self-efficacy theory would suggest that the biggest source of confidence is previous success.
Yeah.
So you should celebrate and enjoy the successes you had to motivate you for future success. One of the other things I've found useful is finding elite players that they would respect and finding quotes from them who are saying what you want to say to play. So if it's good enough for Dan Carter or Richie McCaw, well, maybe it's good enough for you to accept that you're not perfect. Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah. There is a great quote by Michael Jordan. How many mistakes he made, but he became the best. I sometimes share the quotes with them.
Any other questions?